Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to a new session at Educators Plus. I am Makarshi, your English faculty at Educators Plus. So, students, those who have attended my 11 a.m. class, so you must be knowing that we have discussed about the different ages of British history. We have discussed about Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Normans, Age of Chaucer and Dark Age. ठीक है, तो जो भी हमने उस अपने सेशन में पढ़ा था, तो ये जो सेशन होगा उस सेशन पे ही बेस्ड होगा. सो हेयर आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग सम PYQs with you, and I will be telling you the answer as well as be explaining the option that why is it the right answer. ठीक है, so please keep your notebook and pen ready, note down the important point that I'm going to tell you in my session, and please stay tuned throughout the session. ठीक है, so now let's wait not much of the time, and you can just tell me in the chat box whether I'm visible and audible to you properly, so that I can begin the session now. Yes, I hope I'm audible enough. So let's begin. Okay, so the first question on your screen is that which two characters are thought to be indistinguishable from each other in the Knight's Tale. ठीक है, तो अगर आपको पता होगा कि नाइट टेल जो कैंटरबरी टेल्स की जो फर्स्ट टेल थी, ठीक है, तो उसमें जो नाइट ने एक स्टोरी सुनाई थी वो किसके बारे में थी? Okay, and these characters were undistinguishable from each other. So you have to tell me in the chat box. Okay, can you just tell me in the chat box what is the correct answer to this particular question? Please be focused to all these questions because these are all previous year's questions, and this is a very good time for you to practice these questions and get a hang of it. Okay, so yes, the correct answer to this question is Archite and Palamon. ठीक है, so the Night Tale, as you know, is one of the 24 stories of the Canterbury Tales. So Night Tales किसका पार्ट है? Sorry, Canterbury Tale का. Okay, you know that is one of the 24 tales of Canterbury Tales, and it is the first tale of the series of the Canterbury Tales. And who has written Canterbury Tales? So Canterbury Tales has been written by Chaucer. By Chaucer, we have already studied this thing. Okay, and basically this chivalric romance was based on the Boccaccio's Tessida. तो जो हमारा जो आर्काइट पैलेमन की स्टोरी है, इट इज बेस्ड ऑन बोकासियोस टेसिडा. ठीक है, इट इज बेस्ड ऑन बोकासियोस टेसिडा. ये आपको याद रखना है. दिस इज अगेन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, एंड ये आपके प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्वेश्चन में भी इसका क्वेश्चन बन चुका है. सो यू शुड रिमेंबर दिस. एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ स्टोरी इट वाज chivalric romance. It was chivalric romance. Fine. Okay, and it was based on Boccaccio Tacita, and it thought it was originally written as part of the Canterbury collection. So Chaucer adapted it to fit the character of the knight. Okay, and in this tale the cousins Palamon and Archite, so जो Palamon और Archite थे ये cousins थे, ठीक है, and they both fall in love with Emilie. Who was what was the name of the girl whom they have fallen in love? It was Emilie. ठीक है, तो ये जो दोनों थे पैलेमन एंड आर्काइट, दे वर कजिन्स, एंड उनको एक ही लड़की से प्यार हो जाता है, एंड हर नेम वाज एमिलिए, who was sister of Hippolyta, which Hippolyta is the queen of Amazon, and who is married to their captor Theseus. ठीक है, and what happened in this tale? In this tale, a tournament is held in which the two rivals, who were the rivals? Archite and Palamon. Okay, and they compete for the Emilie's hand, and although Archite wins, he is thrown from his horse and dies, and after a period of mourning, Palamon and Emilie marriage. So basically Archite actually won the contest, but he was thrown out from the horse. Horse से गिर गया and वो मर गया, and then Palamon found a way, and in the end Palamon and Emilie got married. Okay, so this was a story, the Knight's Tale, all about, and basically this tale relays the medieval views on chivalry, honor, reason and justice. As I told you, it is a chivalric romance. The chivalry, honor, justice, okay, reason, all these themes were talked about in this particular tale, the Knight's Tale. Fine. Okay, now let's proceed. Okay, Next question says that what is the first Canterbury Tales? Okay, so out of this 4 option, can you tell me which is the first Canterbury Tale? So I have already told you in the previous lecture as well in this one, which was the first tale by Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. Yes, I'm waiting. Please answer in the chat box. Okay, so the correct answer to this question is the Knight's Tale. So we have already discussed about the Knight's Tale, and so Knight's Tale was the first tale of Canterbury, and he told the story of Palamon and Arcite, and which is based on the story of Boccaccio's Tessida. And what kind of a story does Knight tell? As knight is synonymous to chivalry, so he actually told the story of Palamon and Arcite, which was a chivalric romance. Fine. So please remember this. This is again a previous year. Okay. Now, which Canterbury pilgrim carries the brooch inscribed with the Latin words meaning love conquers all? Okay. So आपको बताना है कि कौन सा कैंटरबरी टेल है जो हु कैरी अ ब्रूच. ठीक है, ब्रूच होता है जो आपके कोट में यहाँ पे लगाते हो. उसमें क्या लिखा हुआ है? उसमें लिखा हुआ है लव कॉन्कर्स ऑल. प्लीज टेल मी इन द चैट बॉक्स. Okay, I'm waiting. Is it prioress? Is it monk? Is it wife of Bath? Or is it the squire? In the chat box. Okay, so the correct answer to this question is the prioress. Okay, so basically the prioress is one of the character described in prologue who belonged to church. So he was a religious character, or you can say that she belongs to the church. ठीक है, मैंने बताया था आपको in my previous lecture कि 3 types of people has been portrayed in Canterbury Tales. One from nobility, peasantry and ecclesiastical character that belongs to the church. ठीक है, so जो ecclesiastical character के अंदर category में this prioress was the person. Even monk also come in that category. ठीक है, and what was the name of prioress in that particular Canterbury Tale? Can you just let me in the chat box? What was the name of the prioress? If you have read about Canterbury Tale, you must be knowing that. Okay, so the character name of a prioress was Madame Eglantine. Okay, so Madame Eglantine was the name of the character prioress, and she was a very genteel lady who is very coy and delicate. ठीक है, तो वो काफी shy थी, काफी delicate थी, काफी soft by nature थी. This was something a characteristic of the prioress in the Canterbury Tales, and she has very precious manners. ठीक है, बहुत ज़्यादा mannered थी वो, and she eats an aristocrat wound and wears a very golden brooch in which was written love conquers all. So एक वो golden brooch पहनती थी, and it was in that it was written love conquers all, and the prioress offers basically a hymn of praise to the Virgin Mary. ठीक है, so she was a very Christian, she was a follower of Christianity. So उसका in her prologue she actually offers a hymn to in the praise of Virgin Mary, and she extols Mary, who is the mother of Jesus and the whitest lady flower, and this hymn acts as a preview of the tale to follow. Okay, and her tale is about the murder of a child by Jew because he sings Marian hymns. So her tale is about okay, so if you have asked in a exam that which is a character who tells a tale about a child who was murdered by Jew because he sings a Marian hymn, it was prioress. Okay, let's proceed now. Fine. Which Bible is the earliest English version printed with verse division? ठीक है, you have to tell me which is that Bible which is the earliest English version printed with verse division. ठीक है, in the chat box I'm waiting. You just tell me. Yes, fast in the chat box. I'm giving you time to answer because just take it as your exam. Okay. that you are devoting 1 minute or few seconds to a particular question and just answer in the chat box. Okay, so basically the Geneva Bible is the answer. Okay, so what happened that in early modern English, Bible translation are of between about 1500 to 1800. ठीक है, so 1500 और 1800 के बीच में काफी Bible translations हुए थे, and this period of early modern English is basically known for these translation only. ठीक है, and this was the first major period of Bible translation into the English language. तो जो early modern period था वो first period था for the Bible translation. It is known for Bible translation. ठीक है, it is known for Bible translation. Just remember this period is very important when it comes to Bible translation, and this period began with the introduction of the Tyndale Bible. So that was the first Bible that came. It was Tyndale Bible, and the first complete edition of his New Testament was arrived in 1526. Again very important because ये आपके डेट्स भी पूछी जा चुकी हैं बाइबल ट्रांसलेशंस की. ठीक है, एंड विलियम टिंडेल यूज द ग्रीक एंड हिब्रू टेक्स्ट ऑफ द न्यू टेस्टामेंट एंड ओल्ड टेस्टामेंट in addition to Jerome's Latin translation, and he was the first translator to use the printing press. This actually enabled the distribution of several thousand copies of the New Testament translation throughout England, and Tyndale did not complete his Old Testament translation. Just remember that. Fine, okay, and the first printed English translation of the whole Bible was produced by Miles Coverdale. ठीक है, ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है. द फर्स्ट प्रिंटेड इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशन ऑफ द होल बाइबल, ठीक है, माइल्स कोवरडेल ने करा था. अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन ऑफ नेट, ये भी पूछा जा चुका है आपसे. ठीक है, मैं आपको ये सिर्फ क्वेश्चन सॉल्व नहीं करा रही हूँ, आई एम गिविंग यू द एक्स्ट्रा information as well जो भी questions में आ चुकी है, so please keep a note of it. ठीक है, and it was actually done in 1535. ठीक है, in 1535 it was done using Tyndale's work together with his own translation from the Latin Vulgate or German text. Okay, fine. Also other English printed versions were the Geneva Bible, notable for being the first Bible divided into verse. So as a question say, which is the first Bible that was divided into verse, that was Geneva Bible, and which negated the divine right of kings, the bishop's Bible. ठीक है, so it basically glorifies the king in his Bible. Fine, let's move ahead. Next question. So what is the next question? Next question says that who among the following was Geoffrey Chaucer's contemporary? ये भी मैंने आपको अपने जो थ्योरी क्लास था उसमें बताया था कि who was the contemporary of Chaucer. So you must be knowing the answer to this question. Please answer in the chat box. और मैंने ये आपको पॉइंट मार्क भी कराया था कि दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, जस्ट रिमेंबर इट. ठीक है, सो यू मस्ट बी नोइंग द आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. फास्ट कैन यू आंसर मी इन द चैट बॉक्स. Okay, so the answer to this question is John Gower. Okay, so John Gower was, as I told you, he's an English poet who lived in the medieval era, and he was very successful and is considered one of the most accomplished figure in the Middle English literary scene. So ये कहाँ का था? He was belonged to the age of Middle English. ठीक है, मिडिल इंग्लिश, और इसकी जब जो वर्क्स होते थे उसमें भी मिडिल इंग्लिश यूज होती थी. एंड his writing career was primarily inspired by the ancient Roman poet Ovid. ठीक है, so he was inspired by Ovid. ये मैंने आपको नहीं बताया था आई थिंक उस क्लास में, so just make a note of it right now. And he had a very strong reputation as a didactic or morally educational poet. ठीक है, so as you know that he has three phases in his life. French, English, and Latin. So he was actually came out very didactic on morally educational poet. So he was very moral. He used to follow religion, very dear to his heart. The religion was dear to his heart, and that he actually portrayed in his works as well. Fine. Also, Gower was a contemporary of Chaucer, as I already told you, and was the famous Middle English poet who basically wrote in 3 periods, that is French, Latin, and English. Okay? And he was a contemporary of Chaucer, and Chaucer called Gower as moral Gower. Who called Gower as moral Gower? It was Chaucer. Fine. Okay, and as I told you, he was a didactic writer, and Chaucer called him moral Gower, and his 3 most popular poems were Mirror del L'Homme, that belonged to the French period, Vox Clementis, that belonged to the Latin period, and Confessio Amantis, that belongs to the English period. So just remember these points. Fine, let's move ahead. Next question. Which Chaucerian text paradizes Dante's The Divine Comedy? ठीक है, तो चौसर ने किस अपने वर्क में इंस्पिरेशन फ्रॉम द डिवाइन कॉमेडी लिया था? इज इट द कैंटरबरी टेल्स, बुक ऑफ डचेस, हाउस ऑफ फेम और लेजेंड ऑफ गुड विमेन? एज आई टोल्ड यू, हाउस ऑफ फेम एंड लेजेंड ऑफ गुड विमेन बिलोंग टू द इटालियन पीरियड, बुक ऑफ डचेस फ्रेंच पीरियड, एंड द कैंटरबरी टेल्स इंग्लिश पीरियड. अब फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर क्लू यू कैन इजिली मेक आउट कि वो कौन सा वर्क था जिसमें डांटेस की डिवाइन कॉमेडी का जिक्र हुआ है, और इट इज द पैरोडी ऑफ दैट. ओके, प्लीज आंसर इन द चैट बॉक्स. So I have given you the biggest clue to actually identify. So yes, it is the House of Fame. As I told you, this is from the Italian period, and Dante was also a Italian poet. So you can make out it is House of Fame. So now basically House of Fame is a very Middle English poem by Chaucer, and it was most likely written after the Book of Duchess. ठीक है, the Book of Duchess was a French work by Chaucer, मतलब French period में लिखा गया था, but its chronological relation to Chaucer other early poems is very uncertain. So it is just written after the Book of Duchess. So also remember the chronological order. And the House of Fame is written in 3 books and takes the form of a dream vision composed in octosyllabic couplet. ठीक है, so मैंने आपको ये लेक्चर में बताया था कि it is a dream vision and it is written in octosyllabic couplet. It is a dream vision and it is written in octosyllabic couplet, and the central theme of the House of Fame is the poetic search for truth and the derisive attitude of the poets toward tradition, literary authority and authorship. मैंने आपको ये भी बताया था कि in House of Fame, Eagle was the guide of Chaucer throughout the House of Fame, and the book begins with a poem in which Chaucer speculates on the nature and causes of dreams. Okay, so so basically nature and causes of dreams he discussed in the beginning of the poem, and he claims that he will tell his audience about his wonderful dream in full. Okay, and then Chaucer writes an invocation to the god of sleep, asking that none, whether out of ignorance or spite, misjudging the meaning of his dream. So who he invocates? He invocates God of sleep. Okay, he invocates God of sleep. ठीक है, and upon falling asleep, the poet finds himself in a glass temple which is adorned with the images of the famous and their deeds. So basically Virgil, Homer, Ovid, all these authors' images were found in this glass temple. Fine, and with an eagle as a guide, he meditates on the nature of fame and the trustworthiness of the recorded renown. ठीक है, just remember that he invocates God of sleep. उसकी कौन थी? Eagle. Actually, Eagle was his guide. ठीक है, Eagle was his guide. And basically, this allows Chaucer to contemplate the role of the poet in reporting the lives of the famous and how much truth there is to what can be told. ठीक है, so he basically tells a life of renowned authors like Ovid, Virgil, Homer. All these their lives were actually told in this House of Fame. Okay, let's move ahead now. Okay, next question says that Chaucer's Parliament of Fowls is in part a puzzle, debate, threnody, a beast fable. Okay, so out of these four options कौन सा सही combination बना रहा है? So you have to tell me in the chat box. कौन सा सही combination है out of these four options? Okay, so the right combination is first, third, and fourth. The first, second, and fourth. The threnody is not the option. Okay, so basically the Parliament of Fowls is again a dream vision by Chaucer, and it shows the influence of Dante and of Boccaccio on Chaucer. So as it is, you know that the Parliament of Fowls is basically a dream vision. It is basically inspired, it is written in an Italian period of Chaucer, that's why it is inspired from Boccaccio and Dante and all of the Italian poets. Okay? And in the Parliament of Fowls, we witness an invocation debate about the love among the different classes of birds. And this, I told you in my previous lecture as well, that Parliament of Fowls is a beast fable. Okay, it is a beast fable, and it contains a mixture of comedy and serious speculations about the puzzling nature of love. And it also centers on a conference of birds to choose their mates on St. Valentine's Day. Okay, fine, is this clear? And the poet in this particular poem falls asleep after the prologue, in which he makes a Boethian layman that he has not what he wants and has what he does not want. Okay, so जिसको जो चाहिए था वो उसके पास नहीं है, जिसको नहीं चाहिए, जिसको चाहिए था उसके पास, जो उसको नहीं चाहिए था वो उसके पास है. This was something the idea of Chaucer in this particular work, and the poem is an exploration of the Christian faith as the narrator strives to uncover how to live a good Christian life. So इसमें इसमें religious views भी अपने express करे हैं कि how one person can live a successful religious or Christian life in his particular lifetime. Okay, and this is again a dream vision, I've already told you, and it is also basically which was a very common motive in the literature of Middle Ages. Okay, let's move ahead. Next question is the rhetorical pattern used by Chaucer in the prologue to Canterbury Tales is. ठीक है, तो कौन सा पैटर्न, रिटोरिकल पैटर्न जो चौसर का कैंटरबरी टेल्स है उसमें यूज हुआ है? इज इट 10 syllabic line, 8 syllabic line, rhyme royal, or it is Ottawa Rima? Yes, in the chat box. Okay, so the correct answer to this question is 10 syllabic line. Okay, so basically कौन सा पैटर्न फॉलो हुआ है चौसर के वर्क में? इट इज 10 syllabic line. Okay, next. Okay, so the arrival of printing in 15th century England was engineered by, so who brought the printing press? ठीक है, in England कौन लाया था printing press इंग्लैंड में? आपको मुझे चैट बॉक्स से बताना है. It is again a repeated question in the NET examination, so you must be knowing it. Okay, so basically the answer to this question is William Caxton. Okay, so the 15th century is known for the invention of printing press. ठीक है, so 15th century में क्या हुआ था? Invention of printing press. Invention of printing press occurred in 15th century, and it was invented by John Gutenberg. Who invented it? By John Gutenberg. It was invented by John Gutenberg, and in which year it invented? In 1450. It was invented in 1450. 1450 and was introduced in England in 1476 by William Caxton. तो आपको ये याद रखना है कि जो प्रिंटिंग प्रेस इन्वेंट हुआ था, दैट वाज इन्वेंटेड बाय जॉन गटनबर्ग इन 1450 एंड 1476 में इट वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाय विलियम कैक्सटन इन इंग्लैंड. इंट्रोड्यूस्ड बाय विलियम कैक्सटन. जो अगर पूछे कि प्रिंटिंग प्रेस किसने इन्वेंट करा था तो ये विलियम कैक्सटन लिख के मत आना, क्योंकि विलियम कैक्सटन ने इंट्रोड्यूस करा था, बट इट वाज इन्वेंटेड बाय जॉन गटनबर्ग. ओके, ऑल्सो रिमेंबर दैट the name of this printing press was Westminster, ठीक है, and it was located in central London. So Westminster was the name of printing press. So Westminster was the name. It was introduced in England by William Caxton in 1476 and it was invented by John Gutenberg in 1450. And which was the first book to be printed? So the first book was Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, which was one of the first books to be published by Caxton. So Caxton published Canterbury Tales. Canterbury Tales of Chaucer, which is the first book to be published by William Caxton, and later on Merry Le Morte, the author, was also published in 1485. Okay, let's move ahead now. Okay, next question says that which poem by Chaucer was written on the death of Blanche, वाइफ ऑफ जॉन ऑफ गॉन्ट. ये भी मैंने डिस्कस करा था अपने लेक्चर पे 11 AM लेक्चर में कि कौन सी जो बुक है, कौन सा वर्क है चौसर का दैट वाज रिटन ऑन द डेथ ऑफ ब्लॉन्क, वाइफ ऑफ जॉन ऑफ गॉन्ट. आपको डचेस का मैंने नाम भी बताया था, आपको मैं सब कुछ बताया था, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए. तो 2 मिनट में आंसर आना, 2 सेकेंड में आंसर आना चाहिए. जस्ट लेट मी इन द चैट बॉक्स which is that work. Okay, so the work name was the Book of Duchess. ठीक है, तो Duchess का नाम क्या था? Book of Duchess, basically who was the wife of John of Gaunt. It is written in octosyllabic couplet and it is a dream vision. Couplet में लिखा गया था it is a dream vision. Okay, and basically it is also known as the Dream of Chaucer and is the first major long poem published by Chaucer. And it is written in octosyllabic couplet. It is believed to have been written to commemorate the Duchess Blanche of Lancaster, and who was she? She was the wife of John of Gaunt. ठीक है, and also remember that basically this is the dream vision. Okay, and a poet was asleep reading the story of Six and a Cyclone. ठीक है, तो इसकी वो बुक पढ़ा था, ये बुक पढ़ा था एंड पढ़ते पढ़ते वो सो गया. And in his dream, he meets a knight who is lamenting the death of his lady. And suddenly, then bell strikes 12, and which actually awakens the poet into the real world. I told you in my lecture that he used to bring the social and the psychological world together in the form of dream vision. So that's how he has. That's what he has did in this particular work as well. ठीक है? Okay, and the most obvious clue to this particular name was the deceased woman of the White, who is actually known as Lady White. So it's Duchess T, her name was also Lady White, and this Blanc, it also means white. So आप इससे guess कर सकते थे, it is the book of Duchess. Fine. Okay, let's move ahead now. Okay, so during the Middle English period, many words were borrowed from 2 language. ठीक है, जो मिडिल इंग्लिश पीरियड था वहां पे बहुत सारे वर्ड 2 लैंग्वेज से बोरो करे गए थे. वो कौन सी लैंग्वेज थी? इज इट सेल्टिक, लैटिन, फ्रेंच और ओल्ड नॉर्स. ये कॉम्बिनेशन दे रखे हैं, आपको राइट कॉम्बिनेशन का आंसर करना है इन द चैट बॉक्स. Yes, I'm waiting. Can you answer in the chat box? Okay, so the correct combination is second and third, that is Latin and French. As I told you, Latin was a dominant language in the Anglo-Saxon time. Okay, so but with the Norman conquest, French became the official language. So in the court of Norman, two languages were very much dominant, that is Latin and French, and that's why English was sidelined. Okay, so that's why the Middle English, which emerged during the Chaucer's time, has an influence of two languages, that was Latin and French, which was the language of Anglo-Saxon and Anglo-Norman age. Okay, so that's why these two are these two have many words borrowed in Middle English period. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, select the right chronological sequence of the date of Bible translations. ठीक है, so आपको right chronological sequence आपको बताना है कि जो भी बाइबल आई थी पहले कौन सी आई, फिर कौन सी आई, फिर कौन सी आई. You have to tell me in the chat box. Yes. So the correct answer to this question is Tyndale, King James Version, Revised Standard Version, and the Holman Christian Standard Version. So this was the right chronological order. प्लीज रिमेंबर इट, आप इसको स्टार कर लो, बिकॉज ये चीज़ बहुत बार पूछी जाती है बाइबल्स के बारे में कि आप सीक्वेंस बताना है, पहली कौन सी आई, दूसरी कौन सी आई थी, एंड दीज आर द ओनली इंपॉर्टेंट बाइबल्स यू शुड रिमेंबर for your net exam. ठीक है, so please make a note of it and please expand these the description of these Bible in your notes. Okay, let's move ahead now. Next question. Modern English emerged from the. ठीक है, तो इनमें से आपको बताना है कि जो हमारी मॉडर्न इंग्लिश इमर्ज हुई थी वो कहाँ से हुई थी. Yes, in the chat box. So the correct answer to this question is East Midland dialect. So this was a dialect which was actually brought by Chaucer into England, and modern English जो हमारी जो पहले जो medieval English उसके बाद modern English जो Chaucer के time पे आई थी, that actually emerged from the East Midland dialect, because most of the Chaucer ancestors actually belong to the East Midland region, so that's why Chaucer chose this dialect to be actually the basis for the modern English language. Okay, any problem you can post in the chat box. Fine. So this was all about the Chaucer's age, and I hope I have made myself clear to you, basically by bringing a theory and the concepts plus the previous year's questions. ठीक है, so आपको ये चीज़, आपको जो थ्योरी है इसको आप रिवाइज करो, क्वेश्चंस को प्रैक्टिस करो. आप देखोगे अगर आपको मॉक टेस्ट ज्वाइन करनी है, सो आर मॉक टेस्ट इज बिगनिंग ऑन आवर ऐप फ्रॉम 26th of January. ठीक है, उसको आप सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हो, चैनल को आप चैनल को आप गूगल प्ले से डाउनलोड करो ऐप को, एंड उसमें आप मॉक टेस्ट आउट कर सकते हो. गो फॉर इट, यू कैन प्रैक्टिस इनन्यूमरल क्वेश्चंस ऑन CBT मोड, मतलब वो सेम रेप्लिका होगा जो ऐसे आपके क्वेश्चंस आपके एग्जाम से पूछे जाते हैं. ठीक है, एंड यू कैन प्रैक्टिस, हैव अ हैंग ऑफ ऑल द कॉन्सेप्ट्स. ओके, एंड आपको मेरी क्लास का अगर टाइम जानना है तो माई क्लासेस आर ऑन मंडे, वेडनेसडे एंड फ्राइडे. ठीक है, तो मेरी जो 11 AM पे जो क्लास होगी वो थ्योरी क्लास होगी, इन विच आई विल बी ब्रिंगिंग द एक्चुअली क्रैश कोर्स है ये, तो मैं आपको एक करके लाती रहूँगी. जैसे आज मैंने एंग्लो सैक्सन, एंग्लो नॉर्मन, एज ऑफ चौसर और डाक एज डिस्कस करता, और अब मैं मंडे को आऊँगी, मंडे को मैं डिस्कस करूँगी अबाउट शेक्सपियर और जैकोबियन एज. ऐसे करके आई विल बी मूविंग अहेड विद द कोर्स, एंड इन माई 1 PM सेशन उसमें मैं PYQs डिस्कस करूँगी. ओके, आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग द प्रीवियस ईयर्स क्वेश्चन. तो जो थ्योरी हम पढ़ेंगे उसी के जो क्वेश्चंस, उस कंसेप्ट के जो हमारे नेट एग्जाम में आ चुके हैं वही सेम क्वेश्चंस होंगे, उसकी हम थ्योरी डिस्कस करेंगे जैसे आज भी हमने डिस्कस करा था. ओके, सो प्लीज स्टे ट्यून टू द चैनल, प्लीज लाइक, सब्सक्राइब, शेयर विद योर फ्रेंड्स, एंड इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स यू कैन पोस्ट इन द कॉमेंट सेक्शन. आई विल बी हैंडलिंग योर डाउट्स, एंड yes, good luck for exams, and happy reading, happy studies. Okay, so till then, bye bye, take care.